Miyazaki has a new movie out, and you will be shocked to hear it's very good. The thing about The Boy and His Heron, The Boy and a Heron, is that there's been no promotional materials for it when it was released in Japan. That kind of air of mystery, that the poster was the only thing that they released, no stills from the movie or anything like that. That was like a quickly sketched drawing of the heron, kind of made people obsessed with it, even more than if there was a new Ghibli movie coming out. Especially that this was the film that Miyazaki came back out of retirement to do, even though he really never retired. He can never really retire because making movies are his entire life. And made people wonder, like, then what could it be? Why would they not advertise it? If you want to avoid all spoilers, stop the video now. The film is very good. You should go and watch it. But I will talk very vaguely around it, but with the knowledge as well that there are stills that came out. There is a trailer that is now available because the film is planned to be released early December in IMAX, because most people think for an Oscar qualifying run. And with that knowledge in mind, and if you've seen those, yeah, it looks like a Miyazaki Ghibli movie. It looks exactly like a Miyazaki Ghibli movie. They hope that this was going to be some kind of wacky, experimental, out there, non-commercial thing. Let me dash those hopes right now. What this is essentially a mixtape of Miyazaki's previous work. So, you get some Spirited Away. You get a little bit of Castle in the Sky Adventure. You even get a little bit of Castle of Cagliostro. You get a little bit of Howl's Moving Castle. So really, you got the Castle trilogy all going there. And you get it in bright, colorful, imaginative ways. I don't know if this hit as emotionally as I wanted it to, but I would be lying if I said that, boy, this is just so amazing to watch. Just visually inventive. All the new stuff that's introduced is kind of like take your breath away. Well, take your breath away. Just a fascinating watch. Like, I love this. It's about a young boy whose mother died during the bombings in World War II, who ends up going to move to an estate of his new mother, who is actually the sister of his previous mother. Okay, so new mother, aka stepmom. Man, it's tough walking and trying to keep all of this straight. And what's interesting is that, like, the boy in this is not super petulant or super defensive. He's shut down, as, you know, any kid would be in this kind of emotional state. But like a lot of Miyazaki protagonists, he's also super smart and kind of aware of the situation going on around him. So when one day a heron shows up and says, hey, follow me if you want to bring your mother back, it's amazing that the boy goes, yeah, I know this is a trick, but I want to follow him anyway. It takes a while to get to the fantasy land in this movie. Like, I even thought at the beginning, oh, are we just going to be in kind of like lightly magic realism kind of stuff? Nope. Once we go straight into Spirited Away world, we stay there, and it keeps adding new stuff. I love the way that they approach this kind of stuff, that it's not just wacky for wacky's sake, but there's like weird rules playing out in the background that are justifying why things are happening. And you also get the heron of the title, which looks magnificent in its like heron form, as well as, and I feel maybe this was one of the reasons that they want to hold back on any of the promotional artwork, is that he's basically like the sidekick of the movie, and he's a hideous, large-nosed man with kind of like a heron costume around him. I think it looks great. By the end of the movie, adorable. I would love a figure of this. And speaking of figures, there is kind of the major threat in the movie that when it happens, you think it's actually just going to be like one of the stops on the journey, but it ends up kind of being the all-encompassing thing for the rest of the picture that has not been spoiled anywhere. And it's basically a visual design, but what the animation team does with it is really funny. And there's going to be a million plushies of this thing everywhere, especially with the kind of variations that you can have in design. So, you know, to sum it up, I don't really want to talk too much about this, like, or say, oh, this happens or that happens, because it's a Miyazaki film. You know what you're getting at this point. Basically, this video, just to let you know, it's not some wild experimental thing. You can read into it, especially at the end. Its thematic concerns seem to basically be that Miyazaki is an old man that doesn't want to let go of this like animation empire that he's built, and he does want to give it to someone else, but he would rather that person just throw it away. You get the sense that like Miyazaki, he just wants Ghibli to shut down, that like the style that he pioneered, like those character designs that you look at and you go, oh yeah, that's Miyazaki's work right there. He'd rather that when he's gone, it just kind of shuts down, that nothing new is made. Now, I may be reading a lot into it, but even then, this does feel like a final film, which, what, have we been saying that about like the last few Miyazaki movies that have come out, or the shorts as well? And it's really funny that one of the Ghibli guys on the red carpet yesterday at the Toronto International Film Festival said, oh yeah, Miyazaki's still coming to the office and he has a bunch of ideas. I would be very surprised if he can crank out a whole other feature film, considering how like involved he is in them and like how time consuming it is. But I can't imagine him doing anything else. I would love to know what he thinks the follow-up to this should be, but like, this is what everybody who's a fan of him will super enjoy. Again, I wish the kind of like big emotional climax hit a little harder. I could start to feel it kind of well up, but I kept waiting for something else, and all I really got was a pretty abrupt finale. But I think it's something that in retrospect will work better on revisiting, and this is an overwhelming film, so people who like it are probably going to turn even into love as you watch it over and over again, and you just kind of like sink your teeth into the things that only animations can deliver, the precise little movements of humanity, or the kind of show-offy scenes where somebody goes crashing through a window, or hundreds of characters are all swarming through frame, and this has it in spades. So I enjoyed it. I will watch it again, and if you made it to the end of this video, I mean, I know you're going to watch it too.